So will you please give your warmest greetings to the newest king of comedy, Rupert Pupkin.
Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy is a film that masterfully blurs the lines between satire and psychological drama, defying easy categorization. It's a stark departure from the visceral intensity of Scorsese's earlier works like Taxi Driver or Raging Bull. Instead, The King of Comedy ventures into a more arid and unsettling territory, diving deep into the psyche of its delusional protagonist, Rupert Pupkin, played by Robert De Niro. De Niro delivers one of his most complex and unnerving performances, embodying the desperation of a man obsessed with fame at any cost. The result is painful, eerie, and ultimately ahead of its time. The film's origins trace back to 1970, when Newsweek film critic Paul Zimmerman, inspired by an episode of The David Susskind Show about autograph collectors and an Esquire piece on a man obsessed with The Tonight Show, wrote a 300-page unpublished novel that he later adapted into a screenplay. The script caught the eye of legendary producer Robert Evans, who then passed it to director Milos Forman. Forman was intrigued enough to move into Zimmerman's home, where they spent 2 months working on refining the screenplay. But their collaboration eventually hit a dead end, creating 2 distinct versions of the script, one that Forman preferred and another that Zimmerman favored. Forman moved on to develop his version with writer Buck Henry, but this iteration failed to gain traction in Hollywood. Forman ultimately shifted his focus to directing his acclaimed movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Get out of my way, son. You're using my oxygen, you know what I mean?
By 1974, Zimmerman's screenplay landed in the hands of Martin Scorsese. Scorsese dismissed the project at the time, seeing it as a one-joke movie and because he was busy with other commitments. But he did agree to pass it on to Robert De Niro, who saw potential in the story and later bought the rights to the screenplay in 1976.
I'll take it.
De Niro's enthusiasm breathed new life into the project, and by 1978, De Niro had secured financing. And in early 1979, he convinced Michael Cimino, fresh off the success with Deer Hunter, to direct. Unfortunately, Cimino became entangled in the post-production debacle of Heaven's Gate, leaving De Niro without a director. So De Niro approached Scorsese again, catching the director at a vulnerable moment. Scorsese, hospitalized for exhaustion, was swayed by De Niro's pitch of making a leisurely New York film. Reflecting on the decision later, Scorsese admitted, "De Niro made it seem like a lark, and I was exhausted, so I was susceptible to an easy film." De Niro may have believed it would be an easy film to make, but between the time Scorsese agreed to make The King of Comedy and its premiere, chilling real-life events unfolded, mirroring the themes of celebrity obsession and dangerous fandom that the film was exploring. In December 1980, John Lennon was tragically gunned down by a fan whose warped quest for fame turned deadly. Just months later, in March of 1981, John Hinckley Jr. attempted to assassinate President Reagan, driven by an unhealthy obsession with Jodie Foster and the character of Travis Bickle from Scorsese's Taxi Driver. The following year brought another horrifying incident linked to Scorsese's work. Arthur Richard Jackson developed a dangerous fixation on actress Teresa Saldana after seeing her in Scorsese's Raging Bull. Posing as Scorsese's assistant, Jackson obtained Saldana's address from her mother. He then ambushed Saldana outside her West Hollywood home in broad daylight, stabbing her repeatedly, puncturing a lung, and nearly ending her life. Reflecting on these events, particularly the attempted assassination of President Reagan, Scorsese would later say, "I seriously considered not making films anymore, if that's what the reaction to them, was going to be like. But then I got this 3-page letter from a lady, and in the last paragraph, she wrote something like, 'Please don't stop making the films, because remember that for that one crazy or stupid person who acted that way after seeing Taxi Driver, think of all those who saw it and were enriched by it.'" The other challenge Scorsese was facing was a looming director's strike, so producer Arnon Milchan insisted they start shooting by July 1st, a full month before Marty would be ready. As a result of the hasty beginning, Scorsese was exhausted, De Niro harried, and the production crew disorganized. Scorsese later said, "Physically, I didn't feel ready. I shouldn't have done it, and it soon became clear that I wasn't up to it. By the second week of shooting, I was begging them not to let me go on. I was coughing on the floor and sounding like a character from the Magic Mountain."
Oh, that's a very obscure reference.
Writer Paul Zimmerman said that although he created the character Rupert Pupkin, Scorsese and De Niro made it their own. He noted that Scorsese toughened the script to accent the main character's alienation, his favorite theme, and admittedly put much of himself into the character. Scorsese's characters often struggle with profound loneliness and disconnection from society. Like Travis Bickle, the protagonist of Scorsese's Taxi Driver, Rupert is a quintessential example of loneliness personified. His isolation is deeply embedded in every aspect of his life, from his physical environment to his psychological state. Pupkin is profoundly lonely, living in a world almost completely disconnected from meaningful human relationships. Despite his outward attempts to appear confident and friendly, his life is marked by isolation.
Is that you?
Yeah, Mom.
He lives with his mother, who he constantly yells at from the basement of their home, a space that serves as both his refuge and prison.
Mom, I heard you.
All right.
Many of Rupert's social interactions are imaginary. He frequently fantasizes about being close friends with Jerry Langford, the famous talk show host played by Jerry Lewis. In his mind, Jerry admires and respects him, inviting Rupert into his world of celebrity.
Before I forget, I really appreciate you meeting me for lunch. I know how busy you are and how tired you are.
What are friends for, Jerry?
However, these fantasies only underscore his detachment from reality and the absence of genuine friendships or relationships. His few attempts at real interaction, such as with Rita, the woman he briefly dates, are awkward and unfulfilling. Rupert's inability to connect with others on a meaningful level leaves him isolated, fueling his desperation to be noticed as someone important in the eyes of the world.
Bring it over. Bring it over. It's like a piece of charcoal. Bring it over here.
This theme of isolation echoes throughout Scorsese's work. In Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta's life is shaped by loneliness stemming from his inability to connect with others and his self-destructive behavior.
Shut up! Shut up! I'll fucking take care of you later. Shut up!
Jake, like Pupkin, is trapped in a world of his own making, where his intense physical and emotional battles drive away those closest to him. His life, marked by violence and turmoil, ultimately leaves him alone, reflecting the tragic consequences of his choices. Howard Hughes in Scorsese's The Aviator mirrors this detachment from reality. Hughes, like Rupert, creates a world in his mind where he is in control, admired, and invincible. His obsessive-compulsive disorder and paranoia lead him to construct elaborate fantasies about threats and control, pushing away the people around him. Both Rupert and Hughes are trapped in their fantasies, unable to forge meaningful relationships, ultimately isolating themselves in their quest for significance. Even in a spiritual context, Scorsese explores this theme of isolation. William Dafoe's portrayal of Jesus in The Last Temptation of Christ presents a figure deeply isolated by the weight of his divine mission. Jesus grapples with his role as the Savior, feeling alienated even as disciples and followers surround him. His internal struggle with identity and destiny creates a profound sense of loneliness that resonates with the experiences of Pupkin, LaMotta, and Hughes. Rupert Pupkin is the quintessential Scorsese anti-hero. His delusion of grandeur, isolation, and moral ambiguity connects him to the rich tapestry of Scorsese's most iconic characters. Through Pupkin and others, Scorsese explores the deep and pervasive loneliness that stems from living in a world of internal conflict and disconnection, a theme that runs consistently through his body of work.
I really believe this. I think once you get over the initial shyness, you're going to be okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
De Niro's preparation for his portrayal of Rupert Pupkin was characteristically thorough and unconventional. To capture the essence of his character, De Niro immersed himself in various aspects of Pupkin's world. He delved into the comedy scene, shadowing stand-up comedian Richard Belzer and observing other comedians, including his future co-star Sandra Bernhard. De Niro also jumped into the realm of celebrity obsession and autograph collecting while preparing for his role. One night at 3 a.m., he was approached by Vinny Gonzalez, better known as Fat Vinny, a passionate fan of the rock band Kiss and a committed Hollywood autograph collector. Recognizing Vinny as the perfect person to study for his portrayal of Rupert, De Niro invited him to dinner with Scorsese. De Niro's fascination with Gonzalez grew, leading him to visit Vinny's home, meet his parents, and ultimately use him as an inspiration for the character of Pupkin. De Niro even offered Gonzalez a job as his driver, but Vinny declined, not wanting to miss the upcoming Kiss tour. Fat Vinny makes a brief cameo appearance in the film. De Niro's commitment to authenticity extended to Pupkin's wardrobe as well. Collaborating with director Scorsese and costume designer Dick Bruno, De Niro scoured Times Square stores that catered to magicians and performers. De Niro said they found Pupkin's stand-up outfit in the display window at Lou Magram Shirt Maker to the Stars store, taking it exactly as it appeared on the mannequin. A twist emerged years later when the outfit was being auctioned. The jacket had a Barney's label, a different New York retailer, on the inside. It's unclear whether De Niro misremembered the store where they found the outfit or if Lou Magram was selling secondhand clothing. Dick Bruno designed the other Pupkin outfits. Writer Paul Zimmerman initially wrote the screenplay with talk show host Dick Cavett in mind for the role of Langford, but Scorsese wasn't interested in Cavett. When Marty envisioned the character, he immediately thought of real-life talk show icon Johnny Carson and approached him for the role. Carson declined the offer, not wanting to do multiple takes that the movie required versus doing one take as he did on TV.
102, take 3.
Action, please.
The French.
Orson Welles was considered for the role, along with Frank Sinatra, which led to the rest of the Rat Pack into consideration. Scorsese's thoughts drifted to Dean Martin, but that train of thought quickly detoured to Martin's old comedy sidekick, Jerry Lewis. Once a Hollywood heavyweight, Lewis was now more famous for his annual 24-hour telethon than anything else. His movie theater chain had just gone bankrupt, he hadn't starred in a movie in almost a decade, and he had never tackled a dramatic role. So it wasn't a shocker when De Niro initially balked at casting Lewis.
No.
But after a string of meetings and grilling Jerry about the character, De Niro came around to the idea of him playing Langford. Once the deal was inked, Lewis recalled De Niro calling him up and bluntly saying, "I need you to know that I really want to kill you in this picture. We can't socialize, we can't have dinner, we can't hang out."
Fuck face! Come on, motherfucker! My big shot!
Just like he did with Joe Pesci in Raging Bull, De Niro decided to go off script to stir up a raw reaction from Jerry Lewis for a key scene in The King of Comedy. The scene involved Rupert Pupkin showing up uninvited at Jerry Langford's country house. De Niro, positioned just off camera, started throwing anti-Semitic slurs at him. Lewis, blindsided by the shocking insults, erupted in fury,
So did Hitler.
delivering a powerful performance in the process.
Right.
When you reach the top, huh?
No, I was that way before.
I see.
It wasn't until later that he realized he had been manipulated into that state. Even though De Niro later came to apologize, at the time, Lewis was so infuriated that he vowed never to work with De Niro again. The supporting cast in The King of Comedy is outstanding. Jerry Lewis delivers a surprisingly nuanced performance as Jerry Langford, a celebrity both revered and reviled by his fans.
shows, Jerry.
You should only get cancer. I hope you get cancer.
In her first starring role, Sandra Bernhard shines as Masha, a wealthy and delusional groupie whose manic intensity matches De Niro's portrayal of Rupert.
Because if I hadn't gotten in that car last night, you never even had the chance to talk to Jerry. Keep that in mind, okay? Yeah.
Even the minor roles, like Diane Abbott as Rupert's skeptical girlfriend and Catherine Scorsese as his overbearing mother, add to the film's atmosphere of suffocating desperation.
Mom!
Take it easy. Lower it.
I'm not gonna lower it. I have to do this now.
I don't mind you playing it, but lower it.
Abbott, who was De Niro's wife at the time, also appeared in Taxi Driver. The voice of Rupert's mother, heard off screen, is provided by Scorsese's real-life mother, Catherine, who appeared in several of his films. The film also features other members of the Scorsese family, including his father Charles and his daughter Kathy, who plays an autograph collector. Scorsese himself makes a cameo appearance as well. Additional cameos include the members of the band The Clash, one of De Niro and Scorsese's favorite bands, who were in town playing shows at the Bonds Casino. In the same scene, you can spot musician Ellen Foley. Foley was the female voice in Meatloaf's hit song Paradise by the Dashboard Light. She doesn't look the same in Meatloaf's video because that's a different singer, Carla DeVito, who is lip-syncing to Foley's voice. You can also spot, although unconfirmed, actor Jared Depardieu, a friend of De Niro's.
Oh, kiss me, my hero.
I mean a real good friend of De Niro's.
Thomas, are you Mr. King?
Yes.
Johnny Carson's real-life producer, Frederick DeCorva, appears as the producer of The Jerry Langford Show. Other notable cameos include Dr. Joyce Brothers, Tony Randall, and Liza Minnelli, who play themselves. Minnelli's part was cut but can be seen in the DVD extras. Two of the more interesting cameos involved lesser-known individuals. Chuck Lowe became friends with De Niro after serving as his landlord in New York City and asked to be in one of his films. De Niro obliged by giving him a background role in The King of Comedy as a character mimicking Pupkin in the hopes of stealing his date. In the original script, Lowe's character succeeds in taking that date, but this scene was cut. You might also recognize Lowe from other De Niro films like Goodfellas. The other cameo is Martin Scorsese's cook and assistant, Dan Johnson, who appears in a cut scene antagonizing Pupkin. During production, Johnson and the musician Robbie Robertson go out for a beer, but tragically, Johnson dies suddenly of acute meningitis upon returning home. Scorsese dedicated the film to Johnson, and Robertson wrote the song Between Trains on the soundtrack in his memory. After a solid critical appreciation for how he shot Raging Bull, Scorsese felt that The King of Comedy needed a rawer cinematic style, using more static camera shots and fewer dramatic close-ups. Scorsese used the film Life of an American Fireman to guide this visual style. Knowing next to nothing about how a TV studio works, he turned the directing reins over to Jerry Lewis for those parts. They shot the scenes with TV studio cameras to mimic the television look and then transferred that to film. The King of Comedy was different from most movies in 1983, but it wasn't entirely without precedent. Sunset Boulevard and The King of Comedy, separated by decades, share striking parallels in their themes and production. Both films, directed by visionary filmmakers Billy Wilder and Martin Scorsese, delve deep into the psyche of fame, offering a sharp critique of the celebrity culture that drives individuals to extreme lengths for recognition, often leading to self-destruction. In Sunset Boulevard, Wilder dissects the dark side of Hollywood through the tragic character of Norman Desmond, a once iconic star now trapped in a world of delusion.
Used to be in silent pictures, used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
Unable to accept that her time in the spotlight has passed. This theme of living in a fantasy, disconnected from reality, resonates strongly with Pupkin. Both films cast actors who are out of step with Hollywood. Wilder's choice of Gloria Swanson, a silent film star whose career had faded, to play Norman Desmond mirrored her own life in a haunting way. Likewise, Scorsese cast Jerry Lewis, whose comedic career had diminished by the 1980s. However, both movies also feature A-list actors of the time. William Holden in Sunset Boulevard, a leading man at the peak of his career, and Robert De Niro in The King of Comedy, one of the most respected and sought-after actors of his generation.
Mom!
What is it?
Please stop calling me.
The theme of obsession takes center stage in the films Play Misty for Me and The Fan. Play Misty for Me is Clint Eastwood's directorial debut and, ironically, director Don Siegel's acting debut. It features a fan-obsessive love for a radio DJ, played by Eastwood, which escalates into dangerous territory.
How'd you like to go screw yourself?
The fan's inability to distinguish between admiration and possession parallels Rupert's fixation on Langford. Both films explore how obsessive behavior can lead to violence and a complete detachment from reality. The difference lies in the object of obsession. While Evelyn, the fan, played by Jessica Walter, is fixated on a romantic relationship,
Will I see you tomorrow?
Rupert is fixated on fame and validation.
Are you speaking for Jerry?
As a film, Play Misty for me is a solid watch for a lazy Sunday afternoon. Not a masterpiece, but certainly entertaining.
And now from KRML, the big band sounds of D-Button.
Unlike De Niro, Eastwood is not entirely convincing in his role as a radio DJ, and he's outshined by his co-star, Jessica Walter.
Yeah, get lost, assholes!
Walter nails the role of the crazy girl from a one-night stand,
But I love you!
transforming what starts as a casual hookup into a full-blown horror show.
What, Evelyn?
What do you want, Evelyn? What do you want? Do I have to want something? Can't I just come over? Or is it inconvenient?
Wait.
Could it be I made a boo-boo? Could it be that someone has been sleeping in
Wait a minute,
Papa Bear's
goddammit.
bed?
With a wicked grin and eyes that scream red flag, her character takes Clingy to a new terrifying level.
I don't understand. Are you trying to say you don't love me anymore?
In a bit of cinematic cross-promotion, the title for Play Misty can be spotted on the cinema marquee in Dirty Harry. The Fan from 1981, not to be confused with De Niro's The Fan from 1996, though neither are particularly good movies,
What's your fucking problem?
also explores the dark side of fan obsession. This time, the focus is on a young man who becomes increasingly unhinged in his pursuit of a famous actress played by Lauren Bacall. The film shares thematic elements with the King of Comedy, particularly in its examination of how celebrity worship can spiral into dangerous, even violent behavior. Both films depict the breakdown of boundaries between fan and stars, culminating in a climatic confrontation that underscores the destructive nature of obsession.
I'm not just an entertainer. I'm an influence, a wielder of opinion, a force.
Other notable and not so notable pre-1983 films that look at the dark side of fame, delusion, and obsession include must-see films like A Face in the Crowd, All About Eve, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and Lenny. On the less remarkable side, there's The Day of the Locust and Fade to Black.
Every man is a genius. And I'll tell you something, Rupe. It's going to be more than once in your life for you. It's going to be a number of times because you've got it. From what I've heard here, yeah, you've got it.
With a gross of only $2 million on a $19 million budget, The King of Comedy was a box office failure, in part because it was ahead of its time. The film offered a satirical and ironic take on celebrity culture, which clashed with audience expectations. Unlike Scorsese's earlier works, known for their intense action and drama, this movie focused on uncomfortable, awkward moments that left viewers unsettled. At the time, there wasn't a marketing strategy capable of identifying or targeting the right audience for such a film. Executives only knew that it tested poorly everywhere except in New York City and a few other major cities, leading them to pull the film from theaters after just a few weeks. However, The King of Comedy is now regarded as a precursor to the new smart independent cinema of the 1990s, a genre characterized by sharp social critiques, irony, and a minimalist style. What was misunderstood and poorly marketed in the early 80s is now recognized as an important milestone in the evolution of independent film.
I like your nurse's uniform, guy.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they?
Years later, De Niro would step into roles reminiscent of Pupkin's. In 2016, he starred in the dramedy The Comedian as Jackie Burke, an aging comedian struggling to stay relevant in a world that has moved on. While the film didn't receive much acclaim, it echoed some of the themes from The King of Comedy.
Enough about me. Let's talk about this abortion of a town you live in. Hicksville!
De Niro's 2019 appearance in Todd Phillips' Joker marked a more significant return to familiar ground. The film drew numerous parallels with the King of Comedy, exploring similar themes of fame, mental instability, and societal outcast. De Niro's role in Joker mirrored Jerry Langford's character from the earlier film, placing him on the opposite side of the celebrity divide.
I'm sorry, what's that? That's very funny, Murray. You know, I'm also a comedian.
Joker is widely recognized as heavily influenced by the King of Comedy, not only in its casting choices, but also in its thematic content, tone, and narrative structure. While Joker stands as its own entity, its debt to Scorsese's 1982 film is undeniable.
I can't believe this. I gotta go now. Yeah, I gotta catch a bus. Jerry, take care of yourself. Baby, be good.
Sadly, the box office numbers might have crushed the career of writer Paul Zimmerman, who self-admittedly was a lot like Rupert Pupkin in his desire for fame. When he was asked how was the film about him, he said,
"Well, I went through a classic unhappy childhood, really awful one. And so did Rupert. And I'm a dreamer, and I live most of my life in the future about things that are going to happen that never do, and so does Rupert. And I have a real interest in being famous. I wanted millions of people screaming and loving me and saying that's great, and maybe they will indirectly when King of Comedy, or maybe they'll say, yeah, what was that?"
Zimmerman not only envisioned himself as Rupert while writing the screenplay, but he also wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Zimmerman, following the Rupert playbook minus the kidnapping, did his stand-up on a late-night talk show.
After all, who ever heard of a screenwriter without a beard? So, where's the laugh machine? I was told there was going to be a laugh machine. Yeah.
In other words, you didn't like some of the jokes. Is that it?
Tragically, Zimmerman passed away just 10 years after the premiere of The King of Comedy, never seeing another of his screenplays being brought to the big screen.
I'm very pleased with it, and I think it's a movie that's going to be around longer than I am, and who could want more than that?
The King of Comedy may not be a film that offers joy or even traditional entertainment, but it is a film that uses all of its talents to their fullest. It's a movie that captures the zeitgeist of its time, reflecting a society increasingly obsessed with fame at any cost. Scorsese and De Niro, in one of their most daring collaborations, have created a film that is as frustrating as it is fascinating, a bleak yet brilliant portrait of the dark side of the American dream.
Goddamn door.
Mr. Langford.
Standing up there 8 minutes. What was with the door? Sorry, I'm late.
You should only get cancer. I hope you get cancer.
I can't, I'm late.
Just get insane. I want to be crazy. I want to be nuts. I want to have some fun.
Are these yours? Jerry, is he yours?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I have them?
Go into my pocket and get my replacement. Would you like a lemon drop?
Not right at the
No.
moment.